So today on the Future Agent Podcast, we are back and we are so excited for today's episode because today we're talking all things team. Now, this is something that I'm super passionate about. I know that you agree with me. We're going to talk about the shift from solo agents to collaborative teams, data-driven decision-making and AI-powered systems, building a culture of training, growth, and retention. I know you're going to have some opinions on that one. And expanding beyond traditional sales, the future of real estate teams. I'm excited for today. Let's get into it. What's going on today, everybody? My name is B Maddox. I stole your line, so you're going to have to change this up.
Damn it.
Just a little bit. My name is B Maddox, team lead for the number 12 team in the nation, number one team at Real Broker in all three major categories. Contrary to popular belief, we did not, in fact, go to EXP. I've seen that floating around sometimes, that the number one team at Real Broker went to EXP. That did not happen. It's not going to happen. We are planted firmly here at Real Broker, and we're super excited to be here today.
No doubt. So we did not go to EXP. We are still here. My name is Tony Acosta. I've been in the industry for over 13 years. Started as a showing agent. I was a principal broker. I've owned my own agency, and now we're here at TPG, the ultimate team, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and this is an interesting one for me to talk about because, like I said, I've talked about this a couple of times. I am new to the residential home sales side, been in new construction for the last 7 years and mortgage lending prior to that. The hate that teams get is just maybe the biggest revelation from 2024 for me. The amount of people that look at it as like, hey, as soon as you start out, yeah, go and join a team, but eventually you're going to want to progress and go solo. That has been the narrative the entire year or so that I have been doing this residential game. And it has been fascinating to me time and time again that when you actually break it down and you look at the numbers of how many deals the average solo agent did and how many the average agent on our team did, mind-boggling to me that we are even having a conversation. When you factor splits, our agents are still making double what the average real estate agent is. And more than that too, I think it's super important to delineate here that I think that the team model, and maybe this is a great point for us to be starting at, the team model has evolved, I think, over the last 15 to 20 years. 15 years ago, the team model looked like, hey, this is a mom and pop shop. It's Boo and Tony that have too much business for themselves solo. So what do? They hire a showing assistant, maybe get one more showing assistant, and then a TC, and they kind of slowly grow this organic team. But the lead flow is different. The lead flow is whenever it's a lead you don't want to take. The lead flow is a list that they bought, not leads, a list that they bought. It's no different than a Red X list or a foreclosures list. Mm-hmm. And they call themselves a team. But what we're talking about today is not that as far as the team is concerned.
It's not that. And actually, I've seen it at a higher level also here, where if I had to put a name on it, I don't even think it's a team, bro. I honestly think it's a company.
Yeah.
I think that it's run that way, and I think that we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
But that narrative, which you're spot on, by the way, that agents, that has to be the path, I think it's incredibly harmful.
Well, where does that even come from? Like I said, I'm new here. In your opinion, where do you think it comes from that a team is for low producers and brand new agents, and that's the extent of it?
It comes from this idea that agents don't know how to run their business like a business. So agents are trying to get as close to 100% splits as possible. So the idea is, okay, I'll start on a team. It's going to be expensive. I'm going to pay these high splits to get the skill set. But the second I have the skill set, then I'm going to leave, and I'm essentially going to give myself a raise because now I'm going to go from whatever it is, a 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, to as close to a 100-0 as possible. And so a lot of agents see that as kind of the winning model. It can work for a very small number of individuals that are highly skilled, highly disciplined, highly organized. But for most agents, honestly, this model that we're going to talk about today is the ultimate model. And I had a live on Facebook just a couple of days ago where I fundamentally believe that there are only two models that work for agents in today's day and age. Number one is the flat fee model.
$500 a closing, yeah.
You're going to pay as little as possible. Broker, get out of the way. They're not going to give you anything. But you're going to have total freedom and more resources to build it on your own. That's the the DIY, do it yourself. You have to be highly skilled, highly motivated, highly disciplined. You have to know how to work people. You have to be a builder in and of yourself. It's very difficult to do. A few can do that. And then there's this model, which is the done for you method, which is what we're going to get into.
So my argument to you would be, hey, I don't actually see how going solo would ever be cheaper. I don't see it. In my previous place, I would say that I was on a real estate team. My splits were never better than 66-34, and I was able to scale up to the point where I was bringing home 7 figures every single year. And so to me, like, this doesn't make sense. Like, there was nowhere that I could go as a solo agent and have all of those resources for as cheap as I was able to procure those resources being on a team. Like, am I missing something
Well, the
here?
exact same thing happened with me. I mean, I was at 1% list. I owned my own agency. And all of a sudden, when you're in that chair, you're starting to look at expenses. You're starting to look at value. Agents started reaching out to me, hey, are you hiring? Can I be on your team? And so all of a sudden, I'm having to look in the mirror and say, okay, what can I actually offer people? And the answer was not much. I mean, there was nothing proprietary about 1% list. It's not like anybody else couldn't have a discount model or charge less. But it comes from this, there's this idea that what defines an agent is their split. If your split is high, you're not doing well. And if your split is really low, then you're crushing it. And it's completely backwards. It comes from this insecurity that agents have of wanting to be the man and not understanding really how business operates. And I understood it, but not to the degree that I do now, being here for the last 18 months.
Yeah, I think the fascinating part to me is we see this time and time again when agents come in and they're comparing our splits versus going solo. What we're up against, I don't even want to say what we're up against, but the math that agents are doing is they're comparing their net on a team to their gross as a solo agent. And those numbers are never going to look similar. But when you factor in, you have to pay for, I mean, even just take our content creation, for example. We're creating anywhere from 10 to 15 pieces of unique pieces of content every single month for our agents. Let's say hypothetically, Jordan, how much does one of those videos go for? $400 to $500, and we're making 10 of them for you.
Some math.
Your content bill is going to be half of a closing per month every single time, guaranteed.
At least.
Like that, when you start adding that up, there's an economy of scale to this, and I think people don't understand that. Yes, just because you're a baller does not mean that it still wouldn't be cheaper for you to hire our TCs and to tap into our photographers and our content creation and our director of marketing and our office space and everything that goes into this. So, yeah, this is something I'm super opinionated on. I'm a Teamsters guy through and through. I do think that the team model is the best for agents. Let's get into it. Point number 1. Pull back. Okay? The shift from solo agent to collaborative teams, I mean, this is what we've been harping on. Why the traditional solo agent model is becoming less competitive, the power of specialization, having dedicated roles for lead generation, transaction coordination, marketing, and client services, how successful teams create efficiency and scale without sacrificing client experiences. So this, I mean, we've been talking about the difference between solo and being on a team. I am curious, though, because you've talked about your evolution over the last 18 months and your buy-in to the team model. What have you seen as the biggest benefit to being a part of a team model?
So the issue with a lot of us, and I'll say us as agents that were solo, is that we're not used to big numbers. We're not used to big numbers, and this is the conversation that you and I have had on multiple occasions. We're not used to big numbers, and so for us, a lot of agents out there, they say, okay, if I could close 2, 3, 4 a month, I would be super happy. And so the argument often is, okay, do I need a team if I'm only doing 3, or if I'm doing 4, or if a year I'm doing 10 or 12? A lot of agents make the case that they don't. The problem is that there's a whole next level to 20, 30, 40, 50 transactions that most agents, I dare say 90% of agents, have no clue what that even looks like. But once you get there, there's no way that you can do it on your own. You
to take your business
systems
to that level, the amount of scaling that has to take place, there has to be a bifurcation of your time. That's a good word. There has to be a splitting up and a dividing of your time, and you're going to have to figure out, okay, what am I really good at? What can I outsource? What fills me up? What kills me? And then you're going to have to build your business around that. But the terrible part with that is that let's say you build that business around 20 transactions. The next year when you're sitting into going at the end of 2025 into 2026 and you say, hey, I want to go from 20 to 30, guess what? That is a 50% increase. You have to completely tear it down and rebuild it again.
And the issue is that agents have it backwards. They say, when I get to the 20, When I get to the 25, then maybe I'll think about joining a team that can help me. But it's the other way around. It's the team's resources when you're at 5, 8, 10, 12 that's going to get you to the 20, 25. So it's kind of like the adage of people saying, oh, when I have money, I'll start saving money. You have it backwards. If you can properly leverage a team, that's what's going to propel you to be able to free up some of the time and resources that you don't have to spend yourself to then go out and do more prospecting, go meet more people, to actually get to the 20, 30, 40 transaction level. If you think that you're going to get there on your own and then maybe think about buying support, I think you have it backwards.
Well, I mean, we got to put some context to this too, because this is not about recruiting people to the Perry Group.
Of course.
We onboarded 24 people last month, so this is not me telling you, hey, you need to come and join the Perry Group. This is me saying, if you want to be a successful agent in the future, it's the whole premise of the podcast. If you want to be a successful agent in the future, to me, it has to be on a team because they will provide the scalability that is needed. We've seen a compression in commissions just a little bit over the last year. To me, we haven't even really felt the effects of the NAR lawsuit. When we're really going to feel the effects of an NAR lawsuit is when inventory is down like it was in 2020, and every single dollar is being evaluated because you're in a multiple offer situation. So how are agents going to be able to earn more than what they are today? It is by increasing the volume of transactions. You can do it two ways. You can either increase your dollar amount or you can increase the transaction count. For most agents, just turning the switch on and saying, hey, I'm a luxury guy now, is not an option.
No.
What is an option, though, is going from 10 to 20 and from 20 to 30 and 30 to 40. And if you have an experienced team lead and a team that has a track record of helping agents go up in production, that's the place for you.
And it's understanding business. It's just understanding business. If someone goes to any team and they say, okay, here's the thing. Here's the deal, Boo. I'm going to get you quality leads, which just there in and of itself, not all teams are going to be able to do that. But
There's a difference between leads and a list.
But let's say a team says, all right, Boo, I'm going to get you these leads. I'm going to write the check. I'm going to take the risk. It's going to be consistent. I promise you that you're going to have a consistent lead flow. All I need you to do is get as skilled as you can to close these, and we go 50-50. What do you say? A lot of agents aren't willing to make that bet, bro.
No.
They're not willing to make that bet, even if they know these leads are, in the case of Zillow, $500, $600, $700.
I got a $3.3 million over the weekend in Park City.
And they say no. Say, I will take the risk. Boo, I will take the risk. I will write the check. You don't even have to worry. You're not going to have to pay a single dime to these leads until you close something.
And if you go 0 for 20 and you don't convert a single thing, I'm the only person that's out money.
I'm taking the risk.
Yeah.
I take all the risk. You go show them, get good at this script, just be a good agent. I got you on the back end. 50-50. You in? No. That is wild to
It's
me.
not worth my time.
Oh my hell. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm new to this world. I will be the first one to admit it. But it has been shocking to see that the glam, the sex appeal, the I'm a solo agent is the thing, when if we're comparing bank accounts, you're losing.
You're losing.
You are losing. And to me, that gap is only going to get bigger over the next 5 years as skill becomes what gets people in your door, not whatever has been doing it for the last 15 years. Not a brokerage affiliation, not the team spending money on it. Like, it is just genuinely a skill game. And that's what the NAR lawsuit is going to force, and we're excited for it. Point number 2, Tingy. Data-driven decision-making and AI-powered systems, how top teams are leveraging AI for lead scoring, predictive analytics, and automated follow-ups. The role of CRM systems in optimizing conversion rates and tracking team performance. Why embracing technology is key to staying ahead in an evolving market. Now, I'm curious. I would love to hear your take on this. When you were running your own shop, did your numbers, the numbers that you were tracking, were they as robust?
No, not
as
at all.
what we are tracking?
Absolutely not. And here it goes back to the same thing of the team investing, right? When I walked into, not this office, but the Sugar House office, the Perry Group office for the first time, Michael Perry's like, hey, I want to have a sit down with you. When I saw on the screens their charts and graphs and conversion rates, that alone was like, all right, these dudes are a little bit obsessed. Like, they really understand all of this. So that was the first really big revelation of this team really understands what it takes to convert and to sell a whole bunch of real estate. That's number one. And number two is it goes back to the same thing. It's not just investing in leads, but investing in infrastructure. The fact that they can take a Boo Maddox out of production so that he can sit in his office all day and go over these numbers and think about how can I make my agents more productive? How can we increase the conversion rate? How can we add another lead source? What do we need to train on? That in and of itself is huge.
And how specific the numbers get. We have Zillow, and we have 13 different metrics that we are tracking. So if your first call is going really, really well, but there's a drop-off between your first appointment and your second follow-up visit, you're not getting your buyer consultation, you're not getting whatever, I know exactly where to train, and I know exactly what to train on. I think this is really important for me to show the camera. One second here. All right, so look at this. Boom. See that? So this email that I just showed shows that we are outperforming every single Zillow agent, solo, on a team, brokerage-wide, anything. We are outperforming them. We are in the top 100%, which is weird because we also spend more than all of them.
Yes.
Usually you see that a little bit inverted. You see a bunch of money being spent, and that's what I think a lot of people know us for. They know us as the team that spends a bunch of money on Zillow, but they don't understand the levels of the complexity that goes into making sure that that investment is a sound and secure investment. I get into this argument on forums almost on the daily with people trashing Zillow, with people going after Zillow and saying the leads don't work. They don't work if you don't care about conversion. Chris Gianos was talking about this just the other day, and he brought it up, and I said, tell me, true or false, if somebody says Zillow doesn't work, it's because they don't stress conversion. The only way, it doesn't matter how much we're spending on Zillow, it breaks down if we don't get conversion.
Yes.
And if we are not converting at a high level. And we've been able to figure out how to do both. Why? Because I can tell you exactly why agents are failing, exactly what portion of their process needs to be trained on, down to this is the exact text that you need to be sending. And most people don't comprehend that.
And it's difficult to get that anywhere as an agent. I've seen tremendous value in that, to just have someone that can literally sit down and break down your business in an objective fashion so that you're not guessing. Agents spend a lot of time guessing or hoping or testing or saying, okay, let me try this lead source, or let me try this content method, let me try this. All you have to do here is just sit down, listen, do what people tell you, and you will convert. You will close.
You will sell more houses than the average real estate agent.
It takes out the guesswork. It really does. But that has a price to it. And so as an agent, agents love talking about personal development. And they love talking about, invest in yourself.
Convention junkies, bro.
Invest in yourself, bro.
Yeah.
Pay the split so that you can buy a machine that can actually get you to where you need to get.
Yeah, and most people can't, I would say most brokerages, most team leads can't outline and say, hey, this is where you need to be improving. And the fun part is if it's true on Zillow, it's true in your SOI. If it's true here, then it's also true over here. If you suck at your follow-up over here with my Zillow leads, I guarantee you that you suck at follow-up with your own clients.
Somebody needs to tell you that, boo. That's the thing, because I guarantee you all of these agents that are complaining about Zillow, there is nothing behind it. They're trying to figure it out on their own. Maybe they're watching a YouTube video here, a YouTube video there, but there is nobody that is sitting down with them and saying, hey, let's listen to your call.
No, they're watching Andy Elliott clips on Instagram and trying to implement it using, that's their strategy, is they're going to get six-pack abs because that's going to completely change the process for them, and they're not even close.
Not working.
They're not even close. Point number 3, T. Building a culture of training, growth, and retention. The importance of ongoing education and skill development to keep agents at the top of their game. Why mentorship, accountability, and career progression are essential for agent retention. How top teams create a supportive environment that attracts high-performing agents. I'm going to take this one first because this was a great point that we made. I think it was last week on the pod. When we were talking about this, I was like, it's actually a really good point I just came up with. The people that we have leading trainings in here are the type of people that get outsourced to come into other brokerages and other teams and other environments just to strictly train. And we have Michael Perry, who I could see his name up on the board, did $27 million last year. So when we say, hey, how do we become the local neighborhood expert? We call the local neighborhood expert who's already on our team. He walks into his office and he says, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. If you want to learn about new construction, you have Boo Maddox, who sold more new construction than just about anybody in the state. You want to learn about targeting a specific demographic of people that speak this language. You have Tony Acosta, TEDx speaker to these stars. I mean, you have these people in reserves. I mean, our middle tier players would be the people being put up on stage at every other brokerage. And that is such a difference on the team.
It is a massive difference. And the thing that I want to harp on that I think this team has done well is it's really difficult to simultaneously build a culture that is conducive to new agents and conducive to high producers. It's almost impossible to do. It's a really fine line that has to be drawn and walked because the new agent is going to need training, they're going to need support, they're going to need leads.
They're going to need hugs.
Yes.
They're going to need some Kleenexes. They're going to need...
And so a lot of teams may be able to provide that, but that's not going to be conducive to the top producer that says, well, I don't need that. Like I'm past that. What does a top producer need? The smart ones are going to need support. They're going to need logistical
systems, because most real estate agents suck at systems.
Staff. They're going to need the photographer, the videographer, the graphic designer, the transaction coordinator, all of the staff portion, because they're top producers, they can't do it all themselves. It's very, very, very difficult to create a team and a culture where both groups feel like they're being catered to, and I've never seen a team that does it at a higher level than this team does.
Yeah, and I think that's incredible. I think the common denominator, just as you were saying that, I was thinking through like, okay, how do we do that? I think it's because it does not matter where you come to us at. If you come to us saying, hey, I did 5 and I want to do 12. If you come to us saying I did 15 and I want to do 25. If you come to us saying I did 30 and I want to do 50, we have the roadmap. Yeah. We have the detailed plan. I can tell you in year 1, this is what we're going to do. In year 2, this is what we're going to implement. In year 3, this is what we're going to implement. And I think most people, this is one of the pet peeves that I have with the majority of brokerages right now. You see the stat all the time. 84% of real estate agents that get their license in 2025 will not re-up it going into 2028. There's a couple of people to blame, and I think most people blame the agents. They blame the low barrier to entry. They blame some of those things. I'm putting the emphasis and the majority of the blame on the current brokerage model.
Oh, yes.
Completely and utterly on the daily to day, the broker model. I think it's broken. I think that the way that they are approaching their new agents is they give them a desk, and I learned this the other day. Like I said, I'm still learning this side of it. How are these brokerages making money when you have 350 agents and you have 9 that are doing 5 deals or more per year? How are you making your money? And then it dawned on me, Tony, I figured it out. They charge $100 a month fee to sit in their office and receive no training and receive no support. So do they give a damn if you sell a house or not? No. If anybody is trying to charge you a monthly fee, it is because they are not confident that they will get you into production. That's my new working theory, and until I hear otherwise, that is going to be my belief. That if they are charging you a monthly fee, they are not going to think that you are going to ever sell houses, and that's how they're going to make their money on you. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely not wrong. And for agents that are listening to this, ask yourself where you're at. So I call it the middle. The middle. We talked about one end of the spectrum being flat fee, pay as little as possible, go build on your own. Don't pay your broker more than you need to, bare minimum, bare bones. Just build on your own, get out of each other's way and just build. Now we're on the other side, which is full service team. Full service, they give me everything I need. So many agents are stuck in the middle. And stuck in the middle is exactly what you just said. You're paying a split. Anything above 20%, you're in the middle. You're paying a split, and you're not getting any of the resources that you actually need to convert and to sell. If you're in the middle, you're going to lose. If you're in the middle, you're going to lose. You have to pick a side. You have to pick one of the two models, otherwise it's not going to work.
Yeah, I'm dying on this hill now. Like, until a broker can get in the comments and tell me why I'm wrong, that's going to be my belief. The only way that the Perry Group and some of these top producing teams, and if you want to get connected to one of them, DM me and I'll help you find the one in your state. And like I keep saying, if it doesn't exist, then I got you there too. Let's start one.
Build it.
Having said that, though, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, because I don't think I'm wrong on this.
It's because it's a company, boo. That's the difference that I've seen. It's not a team. It's a company. It's a servicing company for realtors at the highest level. The Perry Group is a servicing company for agents at the highest level. The Perry Group's client
is its agents.
It's the agents.
Yes.
And you guys understand that better than anybody else. The agent is your customer. The agent is your customer. How do we give the agent this machine everything that they need so that they can actually do their job? I think people view it backwards in way too many instances.
And I think the reason it works for us, the reason that we can clearly identify what do our agents need, is because every single person that's in leadership here is still in production and is usually producing at a very high level. And so when we say, hey, we think that the team needs this, it's not speaking from theory from 24 years ago when I was in production. It's speaking of, hey, I took a listing appointment on Friday, and this is what I think I need on Monday in order to lock it down.
No doubt.
Point number 4, Tingy, last one. Expanding beyond traditional sales. And I think this is proof to me that the team model is what's going to win, because this is an expanding category right now. Expanding beyond traditional sales, the future of real estate teams, the rise of teams diversifying into investment properties, new construction, property management, and mortgage services. How teams are becoming full-service real estate businesses instead of just transaction-based operations. Why future-proofing a team means adapting to shifting consumer needs and economic trends. So to this, what have you seen the Perry Group excel at?
So the Perry Group does it incredibly well. I think Real in general does it incredibly well. That's one of the reasons why I joined Real Broker, because it gives you options. Whenever I'm interviewing agents, I say, look, you're going to have options. If you are the kind of person that has any inkling of leadership capabilities, or you feel like maybe you could lead a group, even if it's not now, but in the future, if you have even a little bit of that, RevShare exists, and it can be a serious income opportunity for people that take it head on.
Yes, it can.
But it's optional. You don't have to do it. If you're somebody that loves stocks, and you say, you know what, I love the whole stock game, there's a stock program, but it's optional. You can do it, you cannot do it. If you're somebody that says, I just want to sell a bunch of real estate, and I don't want to pay a bunch in fees, okay, great. It's an affordable cap. It works. It's streamlined. There's a lot of great resources.
So, but I'm getting a call from a person on the team. Brett, you're on the Future Agent podcast right now.
Oh, hello, all agents. Join the Perry Group.
Thank you. Can I call you back right after?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Shout out to Brett, by the way. By the way, did you see Brett's stories over the weekend?
So good. So good.
We're gonna give Brett his flowers on the Future Agent podcast. So Brett has a situation where he's helping a young couple get into a condo. They've lost some of their income over the last couple of months as they were working to qualify. So now numbers are super tight. So what has Brett done? He's gone back and said, okay, how do we piece this deal together along with the lender? And he's basically in a position where in order to make the deal work, he has to give up a large portion of his commission. And so he was sharing on social media that he just feels like that's the right thing to do. And that's a really difficult call for a lot of agents to make. And so props to Brett for putting the consumer first in this particular case. Obviously, it's not something that you want to do every single day of the week, but in situations like this, where it's really the only way
to get the deal done.
It's the only way to get the deal done. They've tried everything. Brett has a decision. He can stand in the way of the deal and kill it, or he can let it go, help them out, and hope that something comes back on the back end. And I am so confident that that's how it's going to be. I've seen it time and time again.
Well, I think that's what we're talking about, is like the evolution that is existing within teams. Like if you look at how, I don't want to use the word fragmented, because that sounds like the team is kind of disbanding into these little groups. We're at a point now where the size of the team lends itself to hyper locality, hyper expertise, hyper speciality. So you have someone like me that comes in and they're like, you know what? I don't really want to go after listings. I don't really want to go after buyers. What I want to do is go and represent new construction. And now, hopefully, within the next 3 months, we have about 100 to 150 units under representation, and we have the team to fulfill it. And it is incredibly easy for me to just to plug that into this machine and say, hey, this is what my business looks like. Can I plug it into this machine and watch it go? It has been a seamless fit. And I think that's what we're going to continue to see. These teams are almost stepping up and filling that void that we talked about and doing what brokerages should have been doing. This is what brokerages should have been doing all along, and for some reason they're not. And that's why we love our partnership with Real Broker, because we do have a broker. We have our own associate broker on the team now. Congratulations, Drew Dietrich. But outside of that, now we're able to do what we think is best for our specific marketplace, not whatever the red handbook says that we need to be doing for our brokerage here today.
100%. So agents, the punchline is, if you're in the middle, you got to get out of the middle.
Pick a side, bro.
You got to get out of the middle, or it's just not going to work. 71% of agents sold 0 homes in 2024 because they're in the middle. Get out of the middle, and you'll do much better.
And we'll see y'all next time on the Future Agent Podcast. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see y'all next Monday.